Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, before we do continue, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. We had Deku and some members of his crew. We had Deku himself, Mina, Kirishima, Kendo. These four initially got aboard the sea train on its way to Enies Lobby to try and save three crew members. After making their way through some cars, they found Jiro in the communications car, and they saved her. Now, Deku, he took a bit of a risk, and one he's not too sure if it could pay off. Jiro is a member of his crew, and she is practically defenseless. As far as he's aware, she can defend herself to an extent, but they went up against top of the line government agents. She tried to tell them a few things about what happened with CP9 and how they took down both Momo and Lillian. And this certainly meant quite a bit. Deku gave her the Rumble Rumble fruit. And right now, the group, they are standing by. The train is moving to Enies Lobby, and Jiro herself is quite happy Deku handed over this fruit. She's heard a lot of things about it, and the fact that it's in the Logia class makes it even more, let's just say, valuable. Now, Deku himself is unaware that he gave a devil fruit to a CP9 agent. And with that being said, Jiro tries to fill them in about a few things while they are currently on the way there. In her mind, she's already won. If she lies to Izuku about anything right now, she is going to be in trouble. So, she tells him the truth. She tells him about Rob Lucci. She tells him about Jabra. She even tells him about Bluno. These are the men who quote-unquote ambushed her and Momo, who took them down. Fact was, one of these guys has a devil fruit that allows them to have a door. They can make a hole in reality and just jump into it. That's just all she knows. That's the best way to describe it. And Deku, he found it to be rather odd. However, whenever she tried to at least talk about how Rob Lucci has a quote-unquote Zoan fruit, Deku, he didn't really need to know too much more. All he had to ask was what type of animal he turned into. And Jiro, she continued her explanation. She gave little knowledge to the CP9 members, but she did talk about some of the ones she knows enough about. And Deku, he sat there. And we do currently have with a train that is a pull into the station. And currently the group, they have a lot going on. As right now, we do actually have Izuku, who he does go to get dressed. Currently, him going to step out and off of the train. Him dressed in a black suit and tie, taking the clothes from one of the CP9 members and the other cars that his group have either knocked out or poisoned. Now, Deku, whenever he does this step off the train, he would turn. Him looking to see Enies Lobby. And right now, there are massive amounts of agents in front of him. People who work for the world government. And this, it's definitely going to be a problem. Though Izuku himself is a lot more intrigued. Currently him turning to the left and stepping forwards. Him making his way past some of the other cars. And we do actually have CP9, who they do begin to unload their prisoners. And currently, there actually is Momo. Momo is pushed off of the vehicle, or pushed off the car, as right now she does have shackles on her hands. And there actually is somebody, they do at least walk out with the carrier for Lillian. Her being shoved into it with a sea stone collar on her neck, preventing her from changing. And right now it's a rather interesting predicament. This is going to be the first time they have an animal get sent to Impel Down. Either she's sent to a prison, or she's executed. And they try and figure out what they can do with the devil fruit possessed by this animal. Should they give it to a person, or so they give it to some sort of trained dog. What can they do there? And this, it's going through some of their minds. And we do actually have Momo. Momo has a lot going through her head. She has a lot of things that are happening. And Deku, he does his own turn, bring his hand up as he does get ready. Him going to put down 2 fingers and then go to express. Bring one of his fingers up to his thumb and cracking it. As Deku will turn the light and move fast. And we do actually have in slowed down time. Deku goes flying forwards, jogging through the crowd members. Him going to actually turn his body back into human and going to turn, bringing his hands up and grabbing Momo before pushing her up and into the air. And this, it does mean quite a lot, as there actually is then Deku, who he still is carrying a massive amount of that momentum. Him turning and making his way forwards. Him bringing his hand up and accelerating his fist right into the person's chest. Currently, them staying there as Deku brings his hand up. Him grabbing the carrier case by the front. And right now we do actually have our time. It does go to virtually resume. 1 second, everyone's walking. Then there's that weird sound and strange smell in the air. As right now they do go to hear a woman scream, and then somebody go flying backwards, smashing directly into the train. And they're actually where Deku, he does stand there, holding the carrier cart and staring directly at Caulifla, along with a few other members of CP9. And currently there actually is Kirishima, who does bring his hands down and throw his fist down into the stone. Currently him going to cover his body and throw his hand up. Him creating a massive mitt and catching Momo. And Momo, when she does a smash into this wall, she does go to somewhat look around, seeing Kirishima as there actually is Deku, who does go turn and yell out. Currently him tosses things through the air as somebody, they do try to use their hair to stop this move. And Deku would immediately make Conqueror's Haki around the entire area. And right now everyone, they do get somewhat paralyzed by this. As Deku, he gets somewhat turn. Right now him going to face Rob Lucci as the man does stand there. Him unfazed and just standing there. Deku going to fully face him as he doesn't stop. And the man, he doesn't bring his hands out of his pockets, expressing, clapping them about how he certainly is quite intriguing. Though, trying to save his allies first. It means a bit. The Lightspeed Hitman in the flesh, Izuku Midoriya. You know me. Of course I do. Quite a lot of information on you. Deku goes on turn, him stepping backwards and evading a punch from somebody. Him turning his head and bringing his hand up. Him blasting him in the chest as the person, they do so moving backwards. One of them with their body covered in Haki as Deku does his own stare at that. The person having the area of their suit smoking with a hole in it. And Izuku stares at them, a lot more annoyed, as Rob Lucci would go to inform his team members, all to stand down. Currently him with somebody directly next to him, expressing, this is quite an interesting development, though it is a bit of time to show what they can do. Him bringing his hands up on to their shoulder, talking about it. This will be a good way to setting a bit of an example. CP9 values a lot of things, and they were tasked with taking on his crew. So, Renault spawned him, Rob Lucci gonna turn, burning his hand up and slicing through the air, cutting off the person's head. And the person, they immediately gonna fall to the ground as their head is sent flying to the right. And Deku does stare at that, as the man does not stand there and turn, bringing up his blood-covered hand as he doesn't have claws. And this does not confuse Izuku, as CP9, they do still stand there. And government agents are beginning to surround Deku's crewmates. And Deku, he does already know a few things. That was Haki. And he also wants to assume It was his devil fruit. But his hand hasn't changed. He hasn't changed at all. And this, it does begin to make Izuku stand a little on edge. He's standing in front of a trained killer, him being one himself, albeit a little rusty. It does mean a bit. And currently Deku, he does use his haki, keeping up his defenses and making sure he can go straight up if the situation does need it. Though, he knows the moment he moves, they might attack him. They already had somebody try, and this certainly does mean quite a lot. Was that an example? No. I already had to deal with him. Dealing with you, though. Personally, that sounds like a plan. Doesn't it? So what is this then? What is what? You steal my crewmate and lure me into an attack? You want me here? I'm here. So what? Oh, now, don't be too hasty. Besides, we've still got a lot of things to do. Deku, bring his hand up. And the moment he does, there actually is somebody, they do go rushing towards Deku. Deku turning his head and stepping backwards. Currently, him a lot more alarmed by their sudden burst in speed. And then there actually Deku would bring his hand up. Currently, him having his hand glow and beginning to shoot laser beams directly from his fingers. Around him, seeing a blast of them as Deku talks about how he's not going to at least be taken down by some goddamn agents. Now, people, they do begin to somewhat scatter away. CP9 members bring their hands up and try to defend themselves from these attacks. And the people who cannot use haki, aka regular world government marines, they do begin to actually be hit by the attacks. And they're actually Kirishima, who would step forwards and bring his hands down. Run him going to morph into the island as there actually is where the ground is going to shoot up spikes and people, they do begin to feel the ground shake and the chaos ensue. And they're actually CP9. CP9, they do begin to try and evade the massive attack that's being sent out. And there currently is Mina, who does this step forwards and then going to turn. Her asking Kendo if she's got everything under control. And Kendo, she currently would bring her hands up, her grabbing the cuffs and sliding them off before turning, chucking them down and over the side. Right now her staring at the train, which has taken some sufficient damage, because it doesn't look like after that impact earlier, it can run on the rails. Her turning her head, and seeing that one of the cars is dangling over the side, off the rails, only being held up by the additional weight of the other ones. And it looks bad. Now, Kirishima, he does actually morph out of the ground. Currently him climbing out of it almost as if it's water. Before, he does this turn, staring and seeing Izuku, who does currently stand there on one of the spikes he shot out. Him going to stare down at Rob Lucci. As the man, he didn't move an inch. He just battered away the attacks. And right now Deku stares at him. The man going to express, they're not getting off of this island. He has his orders and he'll follow them. Though, at the same time, it's also very interesting. They have seen a lot of the things that he's been through. They've seen a lot of the stuff he's gone through. A lot of his own challenges. The man trained by Silvers Rayleigh. Interesting fact. And Deku stares on. The man going to express. The man who's also bedded the warlord Boa Hancock. And has a daughter. Interesting little fact. And Deku stares at the man. Currently him burying his hands up and blasting out two large beams from his fist. And there actually is a Rob Lucci. He has to jump up into the air to try and evade. Currently Deku watch the man step off the air and move backwards. Him burying his hand up and then going to throw out his fist together. Currently him shouting out, Ryukugan! Now, this does mean quite a lot. As Deku, he actually does step to the side and evade. Currently him watch the guard behind him be punched straight through as he does this stare at that. Rob Lucci gonna land and then gonna jump back up into the air. Currently him stepping off the air again. And Deku, he's watching that technique. It's similar to what All Might has done. It's similar to a lot of things. Right now, they are in trouble. And Izuku, he does have his defenses still up. Him tries to just monitor the area for anything. He can already feel Rob Lucci on the island. He has an intent about him. He has malice, though he does give off some confidence. And this does not give Izuku a lot to work with. Though Rob Lucci, he can also get a read on Izuku. He is angry. Very angry. And that will definitely do them some good. Now, Izuku, he has a somewhat walkover. Currently, everybody staring at him as he's going to bring his hand up. Currently, him expressing a few things. Taking off the jacket and going to roll up his sleeves about what they're going to be doing. And everybody, they just don't stare at him. Deku expressing. He is going to take out Rob Lucci because he knows something he shouldn't. And everyone, they do stare at him. Deku having killer intent seeping out of his body. All of them don't need Haki to read it, though it's quite apparent from the look of rage on his face. As Izuku is going to tell them, they know about Eva. And this, he cannot allow. He will turn this island into a glass floor if he does have to. He will sink it into the very hole it floats above. Right now, CP9 has become a priority, and they need to be taken down. Deku expressing, turning back to Momo, about how she was taken off guard. What exactly happened? And Momo's a bit confused. The last real thing she remembers was being on a boat with Jiro. And that's really all. And then there's also where Deku would return. Currently, Lillian having her head put back on, almost like she's a bit of a, stuffed animal. And then she actually doesn't turn back into the hybrid form. Her then going to get bigger and bigger, turning into the other form. Her bring her hands up, talking about how that was very weird and strange. And Kendo does what to express, trying to calm down this kid about how it wasn't that scary. And Deku, he just don't see this. Currently Lillian running over and giving Deku a bit of a hug. Him bringing his hand up and patting her on the head, before telling the team they might need to deal with CP9. Take them down first, then get out of here. Enies Lobby is a place the world government, they prioritize. It's where they have their fucking kangaroo court. So, they are going to sink this place into the ocean and then leave. Deal with CP9. Currently him turning his head. As there actually is Jiro, who does hold up her hands and does try to focus. And Izuku, he'll get to tell her. Try to let it happen naturally. And Jiro is still a little bit confused. Her going to focus again and then shoot lightning from her hands. Currently her having them begin to sizzle. And this, it does mean a lot. Currently her goes on smile as Deku would return, expressing to his crew about the current thing. He's going to take on Rob Lucci. Kirishima, he has one simple task. Make sure nobody gets off this island. Make sure none of them can get out communications. Shut them down. They don't need admirals here. In fact, if they have backup, that could be worse. He's heard a few unsavory rumors, and if they do turn out to be true, then this will get a lot more difficult. Currently him beginning to turn, walking away and turning into a beam of light, flying up high into the air. And while that's currently happening and Izuku is a bit more on a witch hunt, let's cover to Bakugo and the other crew members. Asui, Whenever the storm started to pick up and began to actually come by, she got the crew out of there. She tried to sail the boat fast, make sure they would not get caught up in Aqua Laguna. And Bakugo, yeah, after hearing about Enies Lobby and about how he might miss a few things, he didn't want to wait. And we do currently have Asui, who does sit there and go to bring her hands up. Her yelling at Bakugo about the direction he's going in, bringing up her hand expressing for him to swim that direction. And we do currently have Bakugo, who does sit there in the water, swimming as fast as he can. Him turn to Asui and let's turn a bit to the right. Him swimming faster while still pulling the boat with as much force as he can. And this, it does mean a bit. This is good training. Along with that, if there's gonna be a fight, he wants to be involved. So yeah, they are not missing this. And currently the ship, it does move quickly through the water. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.